Welcome to Power Insider. From the sky, 12 invisible death machines silently plunged down. In just 2 seconds, Mexico's most heavily guarded drug laboratory was reduced to a black hole of smoke and fire. The cartel bosses had once confidently believed their jungle fortress was impenetrable, but they were mistaken. Hidden beneath the dense canopy, this multi-billion-dollar opium production facility had been supplying poison to American streets for years, until President Trump took decisive, no-nonsense action to eradicate it completely. But how did we get here? And what happens when the crime lords face off against the military monsters? Let's take a look at the impact of 12 American fighter jets as they destroy a cartel drug lab. The water channel door slid to the side with just the push of a button. Beneath the camouflaged floor, a concrete staircase led down into pitch-black darkness. This was the underground palace of Mexico's most feared drug lord. Rafael Carocano built his empire with blood and terror. He was not only a drug kingpin, but also the architect of a new era of violence, shaping how cartels operated for decades to come. In the 1980s, this kingpin was not just a simple drug trafficker. He also established the rules that every cartel follows today. Known as the narco of narcos, Quintero pioneered the main cocaine routes from Colombia through Mexico and into American cities. His Guadalajara cartel transported tons of cocaine across the border, while Mexican police turned a blind eye. It is estimated that Quintero's network controlled over 70% of the cocaine entering the United States during its peak years, generating billions of dollars in revenue annually and turning Guadalajara into an international drug trafficking hub. However, Quintero's true power lay in his willingness to kill anyone who threatened his business. In 1985, DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena got dangerously close to exposing the cartel's operations. Quintero's henchmen kidnapped the American agent and tortured him for a harrowing 30 hours before wrapping his body in plastic. This brutal murder was not only a crime, but also a direct challenge to Washington, freezing U.S.-Mexico relations and triggering an unprecedented global manhunt. The case shook both governments and made Quintero the most wanted fugitive in the United States. Prison cannot hold a drug lord forever. After decades behind bars, a Mexican court acquitted Quintero in 2013 due to a minor legal technicality. The 60-year-old man walked out of his cell and then disappeared into the mountains of Sinaloa. For the next 9 years, he rebuilt his criminal empire from an underground base drilled deep into the mountain rock. Quintero's comeback is a testament to the incredible resilience of crime lords, showing that even when captured, their influence can rise again and continue to spread crime. The Trevino Morales brothers took the cartel's brutality to a whole new level. Miguel, nicknamed Z40, and Omar, known as Z42, started out as elite Mexican soldiers, but eventually defected to join the criminal underworld. They founded Los Zetas, a cartel organization that operated almost like a real army. Recruiting many other deserter soldiers, they turned special forces skills into weapons of terror. Los Zetas' tactics were completely different from traditional gangs. They not only trafficked drugs, but also focused on controlling territory through extreme violence ranging from extortion to public massacres, creating a wave of terror across the eastern states of Mexico. The Morales brothers rule through fear, terrorizing the cities. Their gunmen patrol the streets in armored vehicles, imposing heavy protection taxes and eliminating anyone who dares to defy their orders. In the world they have created, there is no room for leniency. And right now, as the U.S. military power clashes with the brutal violence of the cartel, a decisive battle is being forged amid the smoke and flames. The Los Zetas brothers controlled drug trafficking routes, kidnapping networks, and human smuggling operations spread throughout northeastern Mexico. Even while imprisoned, they continued to run their criminal empire through encrypted messages and bribed police officers. The narco corporation model of Los Zetas has inspired many other criminal groups, plunging Mexico into an unprecedented spiral of violence and corruption, with tens of thousands of people dying each year due to gang wars. Vicente Carrillo Fuentes inherited the bloodiest throne in Mexico. When his brother Amado, the godfather of the family, died during a cosmetic surgery procedure in 1997, Vicente took control of the Juarez Cartel. This organization turned the border city of Ciudad Juarez into a tragic battleground where more than 10,000 people lost their lives in gang clashes between 2008 and 2012. During this period, Ciudad Juarez was once dubbed the murder capital of the world, with a homicide rate reaching 229 per 100,000 residents. In 2010, a staggering figure that reflected the brutal intensity of the territorial war. Vicente's power comes from controlling the most strategic areas in the drug frenzy, the bridges connecting Juarez to El Paso, Texas. Every gram of cocaine, heroin, or fentanyl that crosses here generates millions of dollars in profit. The gang bribes the entire police force, judges, and officials to protect the smuggling routes. But these kingpins all made a fatal mistake. They believed that fortified underground bunkers would make them invisible. Quintero hid out in a mountain cave equipped with satellite internet and encrypted phones. The Trevino brothers built an underground command bunker with multiple escape routes. Vicente built a secret warehouse behind a bulletproof wall guarded with strict armed security. They invested millions of dollars into complex underground facilities, from smuggling tunnels beneath the border to command bases deep in the jungle, believing these were impervious to any conventional surveillance. However, technology has upended the game. American intelligence satellites can detect heat signatures from underground laboratories. Transceiver stations record every encrypted message. Bank servers monitor every financial transaction. The most advanced signals intelligence SIGINT systems, originally developed to track state adversaries, are now adapted to decrypt the complex communication networks of cartels, from encrypted satellite phones to low-frequency radio channels. Mexico's dark overlords built their empire in the analog era, but now digital hunters are closing in fast. Their decades-long untouchable power is about to face America's most advanced military technology. Then they make a fatal mistake that leads to disaster. What happens when the U.S. no longer treats gangs as ordinary criminals? January 20th, 2025 changed everything. President Trump, sitting in the Oval Office pen hovering over the executive order he was about to sign, was about to turn the United States' war on drugs to a new chapter. With just one signature, Mexican cartels were no longer merely criminal organizations, but were designated as foreign terrorist organizations. This legal framework places Mexico's most powerful gangs on the same level as ISIS and Al-Qaeda. The Sinaloa and Jalisco New Generation cartels now face the full force of the U.S. counterterrorism apparatus. This is not just paperwork. It is a declaration of war unleashing military power reserved for America's most dangerous enemies. This decision marks a pivotal strategic shift, breaking the traditional framework of law enforcement agencies and bringing the war on drugs into the realm of national security, with the potential to cause unprecedented and far-reaching consequences for both countries. The legal changes have created harsh realities for anyone involved in gang activities. Under anti-terrorism laws, providing material support to designated organizations carries the harshest penalties, a surprising turning point in the decades-long battle between the U.S. and Mexican crime lords. This signals the end of a dark era and the beginning of a new chapter in the fight against transnational crime and terrorism. Penalties of up to 20 years in federal prison apply not only to drug trafficking, but also extend to all forms of support. This includes paying protection fees, transporting goods through gang-controlled areas, and even family members sending money home, all of which can be prosecuted as terrorism charges. According to data from the U.S. Department of Justice in 2024, alone, over 3,000 individuals have been investigated or prosecuted for providing material support to cartel organizations, highlighting the broad reach of this new law. Maria del Rosario Navarro Sanchez, a 39-year-old Mexican woman, is the first person to be prosecuted under this new law. She supplied grenades to the Jalisco New Generation Cartel and assisted in smuggling migrants' weapons, money, and drugs across the border. Federal agents have displayed her yellow AR-15, nicknamed El Dorado, as evidence of terrorist connections. Her case quickly sent shockwaves through the gang networks. Anyone who assists these organizations now faces potential terrorism charges. The Pentagon has been granted new authority that changes America's approach to the threat posed by gangs. CIA agents are now allowed to conduct covert operations in foreign countries without being constrained by traditional law enforcement regulations. Military commanders can now plan cross-border attacks based on legal frameworks similar to those used during the operation to capture Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. This change is seen as a direct response to the rising number of fentanyl-related deaths in the U.S., which have surpassed 100,000 fatalities annually, turning the drug crisis into an urgent national security issue. The world's most advanced military surveillance system is shifting its focus from the Middle Eastern battlefield to the desert borderlands of Mexico. Intelligence agencies are deploying technology originally designed to track terrorist groups to now combat networks of gangs. Predator reconnaissance drones have been redeployed from bases in Syria to staging points along the southern border of the United States. The Special Operations Command has drafted contingency plans to rapidly deploy strike teams capable of eliminating high-value targets and withdrawing within just a few hours. The war machine that once destroyed ISIS is now focused on criminal organizations right along the southern border of the United States. Mexican gangs are facing surveillance capabilities they could never have imagined or resisted. Signal intelligence experts intercept encrypted communications faster than criminals can send them. Satellite imagery tracks vehicle movements with such precision that conventional countermeasures have become obsolete. Financial investigators trace money flows through banking systems originally designed to conceal illegal profits. According to an internal intelligence report in the first half of 2025, the amount of intelligence data collected from the U.S.-Mexico border increased tenfold compared to the same period last year, providing an unprecedented comprehensive insight into the structure and operations of the cartel. Panic spread rapidly through all levels of the gang's leadership like a wildfire. Intercepted communications revealed fears about the precision airstrikes carried out by the U.S. shelters that had operated openly for decades were suddenly abandoned. Multi-billion-dollar drug trafficking routes began shifting to new locations as commanders feared attacks from invisible aircraft. Labeling gangs as terrorist organizations has established a legal pathway for military actions that were previously not possible under the traditional legal framework of law enforcement agencies. The most powerful criminal organizations in Mexico now realize they are facing a force beyond their control. The untouchable kingpins who once built underground empires must now confront an enemy equipped with technology capable of eliminating targets from the sky without warning. America's war on drugs has become a real battle, but declaring war is just the beginning. On paper, everything is meaningless without sharp eyes to identify the enemy. How do you hunt down the ghosts hiding in the vast wilderness of Mexico? The U-2 Dragon Lady took off from Offutt Air Force Base early in the morning, its active signal transmitter broadcasting its location to comply with international law. Although it appeared on radar screens across North America as a routine flight, this was actually an extraordinary mission. This Cold War reconnaissance aircraft originally designed to photograph Soviet nuclear facilities, was now heading toward the most dangerous corner of Mexico on a mission that would radically change the U.S. war on drugs. U-2's operational history has demonstrated unmatched intelligence-gathering capabilities, from monitoring nuclear sites during the Cold War to tracking terrorist activities, and now it is being applied to a new threat right in America's backyard. 6 hours later, the plane made a sharp turn along the coast of Baja California, its sensors scanning down over dusty settlements, places where billions of dollars worth of fentanyl begin their deadly journey across the border. The plane did not enter Mexican airspace, but it didn't need to. From an altitude of 70,000 feet, its advanced camera can clearly capture the license plates of vehicles moving within the strongholds of the Sinaloa Cartel. Every phone call, every radio signal, every digital trace of the criminal empire below is collected by sophisticated equipment based on technology that once penetrated the Iron Curtain. This unique reconnaissance flight triggered the most intense escalation in border intelligence activities since World War II. Just a few days later, the Pentagon authorized a significant increase in aerial reconnaissance missions. The flight frequency skyrocketed from 1 mission per month to 18 missions in just 10 days. This sharp increase reflects the highest level of priority Washington has placed on the fentanyl battle, turning the border into a 24/7 monitored zone with a dense flight schedule. The Navy's P-8 Poseidon aircraft, originally designed to hunt Russian submarines in the Pacific, now patrols the desert border region, equipped with powerful radar systems to scan gang communication networks. This technological integration is the culmination of decades of American military innovation. Each P-8 is equipped with a sensor system valued beyond the annual budget of many small countries. Its ability to intercept communications from hundreds of miles away has made smuggling kingpins no longer confident that encrypted satellite phones are invulnerable. U-2 flights also offer more advanced capabilities thanks to state-of-the-art synthetic aperture radar that can penetrate fog and darkness, creating detailed maps of cartel infrastructure hidden for generations. These maps not only reveal underground laboratories, but also expose tunnels, secret storage facilities, and even seemingly anonymous safe houses, providing valuable target information for ground operations. Mexican Defense Minister Ricardo Crespo confirmed that his government detected these flights, but admitted that his forces could not determine what information the U.S. was collecting. These reconnaissance aircraft maintain legal routes in international airspace, while gradually recording the entire operational structure of Mexico's most powerful criminal organizations. Each mission generates terabytes of data that are sent directly to analysis centers where experts compile detailed target profiles. F-22 Raptor fighter jets have been deployed to forward bases in Arizona and Texas, ready with exceptional stealth capabilities. The story of the battle in the skies and the harsh borderlands is just beginning, but signs of a revolutionary breakthrough are already emerging. As advanced military technology is fully leveraged, will the enemy still have any place to hide in the shadows of the vast deserts and mountains? The hunt for the leaders of transnational crime is entering a new era, distinctly marked by American influence, a war without gunfire, yet full of danger and upheaval. These fifth-generation fighter jets become invisible to Mexican radar, carrying precision-guided munitions ready to eliminate targets with extreme sophistication. A highly advanced intelligence system collects precise coordinates from reconnaissance flights, enabling airstrikes to target key facilities of drug cartels directly. The psychological impact on the gang's operations is immediate and devastating. The kingpins begin to suspect everything from communication devices to their closest associates, undermining internal trust and causing divisions within their ranks. The intercepted communications reveal the panic among mid-level commanders as they realize every move is being monitored from above. Safe houses that had operated openly for years were suddenly abandoned overnight. Drug trafficking routes worth billions of dollars quietly shifted course as criminals fought against an invisible enemy they couldn't see. Those secret flights transformed the U.S. drug enforcement strategy from a purely reactive approach into a proactive military campaign. Federal agencies that once had to wait for information from informants now had real-time alerts and monitoring of the entire criminal network. The age-old cat-and-mouse game between smugglers and Border Patrol agents suddenly escalated into a more intense and frightening phase as the United States' most advanced military surveillance system focused on a new enemy right along the southern border. Deep in the Sonoran Desert, a secret laboratory is producing deadly chemicals that could cause thousands of American casualties. The workers inside have no idea that invisible eyes in the sky have already targeted their base with unseen crosshairs. But surveillance alone isn't enough to win the war. It only reveals where the real battle begins, and what happens when two presidents threaten each other through a trillion-dollar economy. A chilling warning dropped like ice on a January morning. President Trump bluntly declared in a tweet, cutting through all diplomatic formalities Mexico has until February to dismantle the drug cartels, or it will face a 25% import tax on all goods. $400 billion in annual trade is at stake. For President Claudia Sheinbaum, the message is crystal clear: there must be results, or else Mexico's economy will collapse. A 25% tariff on all Mexican goods exported to the U.S. could cause Mexico's GDP to drop by 5 to 7%, push millions into unemployment, and trigger serious social unrest, a scenario the Mexican government cannot accept. At the emergency meeting in Los Pinos, she faced the toughest decision as Secretary of State Juan Ramón de la Fuente spread satellite images across the table, showing U.S. military forces massing along the border. Predator drones were being deployed to forward bases in Texas and Arizona. The threat comes not only from the economy, but also from survival itself. Immediately, Ms. Sheinbaum responded publicly with a firm and defiant attitude. Standing at the presidential podium, she rejected any U.S. military intervention on Mexican soil. Her words evoked memories of 1914, when the U.S. Navy occupied Veracruz for 7 months, resulting in over 400 deaths. Mexican officials, in private discussions, compare the current crisis to a dark chapter marked by foreign forces violating national sovereignty. The shadow of Veracruz continues to haunt every conversation and every moment of their meetings. As the leaders realize they are facing a similar crossroads, another covert game unfolds behind closed doors. While Sheinbaum publicly condemned threats from the United States, her intelligence director quietly authorized CIA reconnaissance flights to operate from a security facility located just 19 miles outside the capital. This contradiction is both clear and deliberate, simultaneously meeting U.S. intelligence demands while maintaining a public stance against military intervention. Mexican officials hope this delicate balance will prevent unilateral attacks while preserving national dignity. The deployment of 10,000 Mexican troops to the northern border not only projects an image of strong power and sovereignty, but also serves the strategic interests of the United States. These soldiers were not deployed to push back U.S. forces. They were hunting drug cartels that Washington had previously dismantled. Checkpoints have been increasingly set up along smuggling corridors as Mexican military commanders implement politically unprecedented screening procedures. Then an unprecedented move took place. In a lightning-fast pre-dawn operation that stunned the world, Mexico simultaneously arrested 29 drug kingpins who were being held in prisons scattered across the country and flew them to 8 different cities in the United States. Rafael Carocano, the man responsible for the death of DEA agent Enrique Camarena in 1985, which severely strained bilateral relations for decades, will finally face American justice. Vicente Carrillo Fuentes, the former leader of the Juarez Cartel, along with the notorious Trevino Morales brothers, are also part of this historic extradition wave. Mike Vigil, former DEA Chief of Operations, called it a historic turning point, a clear sign of Mexico's desperation to avoid an economic disaster. This is not a routine procedure. Typically, Mexico extradites individual subjects one at a time, following lengthy legal processes. Mass extradition is extremely rare, and the simultaneous extradition of 29 individuals is unprecedented. According to analysts, this is the largest extradition operation in the history of drug enforcement cooperation between the two countries, an action unmatched in both scale and speed. This operation requires absolute military precision. High-level security prisoners are being simultaneously transferred from various prisons to prevent coordinated resistance from their accomplices. They were strictly escorted to military airports where American planes were waiting. The logistics became more complicated as prisoners had to be allocated to different jurisdictions based on the outstanding charges. The timing was intentional. A high-level Mexican delegation, including Foreign Minister Juan Ramón de la Fuente, was in Washington meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. These extraditions were meant to demonstrate goodwill in the negotiations to avoid an economic disaster. President Trump announced a 30-day delay in imposing tariffs, creating an opportunity for the two countries to develop a comprehensive security plan. However, this postponement comes with a condition: Mexico must commit to increasing personnel and tightening its campaign against fentanyl production. However, this crisis has awakened an even more dangerous threat. Deep within the jungles of Mexico, American intelligence eyes from above have identified their next target. Will this breakthrough move usher in a new phase in the war on drugs, or will it ignite an endless spiral of tension only time will tell? Deep in the quiet jungles of Sinaloa, a cartel's fentanyl lab is buzzing with activity. Chemicals bubble vigorously in industrial vats, while masked workers carefully measure out precise doses of the deadly powder enough to kill thousands of Americans. Trucks stand ready nearby, prepared to transport this lethal cargo northward. The protective barrier seemed impenetrable. There were no trails leading in. Even clear satellite images couldn't pinpoint the exact location. And those who dared to venture nearby never returned. Cartels often deploy halcones, lookouts, guards positioned at strategic locations to warn of any intrusions, making ground access nearly impossible. But at an altitude of 30,000 feet in the sky, 12 F-22 Raptors glide like ghosts through the air. Their engines whisper death, all while remaining completely undetectable by any radar on Earth. In the lead aircraft, the pilot kept a sharp gaze fixed straight ahead. There were no flashing lights, no radio interference, only the calm voice of the computer system providing coordinates accurate to the centimeter. The jungle below appeared hazy through the lingering clouds and the swaying shadows of the trees. Each F-22 carries 2 GBU-39 bombs, smart weapons designed to destroy targets with surgical precision. The mission was clearly assigned to eliminate this laboratory without causing any collateral damage. No warnings, no negotiations, just swift destruction in complete silence. The Pentagon's war planners had been preparing for this moment for months. Secretary of Defense Pete, exact name to be verified, approved the operation after intelligence confirmed that the facility was producing enough fentanyl to kill 10 million Americans. CIA experts provided precise coordinates gathered through months of aerial surveillance. Military lawyers drafted the legal justifications based on existing laws that had previously authorized airstrikes on terrorist camps in Pakistan and Yemen. Execute! The order was transmitted through the encrypted channel. 12 bombs dropped simultaneously. No smoke, no noise. They vanished into the clouds like falling stars. The GPS guidance system, with an accuracy within 3 feet, ensured each bomb detonated exactly where needed. Silent moments passed as the bombs pierced through the dense jungle air. The first explosion awakened shockwaves that spread as far as the eye could see through the green canopy. The second blast was even more intense when the chemical center of the laboratory caught fire. Birds scattered in all directions as if it were an alarm signal. The flames shot up like a flare before quickly dying down amid thick smoke and dust. A fortress of death was turning into a massive fire pit, the exact size of a swimming pool. It is estimated that this airstrike destroyed a quantity of raw fentanyl with a market value of up to hundreds of millions of dollars and the potential to produce millions of lethal doses, delivering a critical blow to the cartel's supply chain. But what was truly chilling was not the destruction itself, but the silence that followed the attack. Not a single plane appeared in the sky. No warning sirens sounded. To the gang's shooters, it was like a ghost delivering an unstoppable death sentence. Underground, the sky suddenly tore open, as if to punish them, lasting only 2 brief seconds before closing forever. The radio signals were completely disrupted. Mobile broadcast stations fell silent. Surveillance drones only managed to capture images of the aftermath. Twisted metal fragments abandoned trucks, and the total destruction of a facility worth billions of dollars. News spread through the gang's secret communication channels like wildfire. "They know our location now," whispered voices filled the tense command rooms. Laboratory workers hurriedly abandoned their posts. Supply convoys scattered, fleeing up into the mountains. This invisible strike crippled criminal operations across multiple states, as the kingpins realized there was nowhere left to hide from American military technology. The F-22 fighter jets had long since returned to base. Not a single aircraft was detected tracked or engaged. Like ghosts, they struck and vanished into the clear sky in the blink of an eye. Inside the dimly lit hangars, the flight crews quickly refueled the Raptors, while the strategists selected the next targets from the ever-growing list of gang strongholds. This attack marked a fundamental turning point in how the United States handles the war on drugs. Criminal organizations that once operated freely now face advanced military technology previously used in counterterrorism operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. Cartel groups have built their empires relying on terrain and corruption that seemed untouchable. They never imagined they would have to face an enemy capable of wiping out targets from invisible aircraft, precisely guided by satellites. This is no longer just a matter for the police. When the world's most elite military forces set their sights directly on criminal organizations, the rules have changed forever. The cartels want war, but now they are facing an enemy they cannot see, cannot touch, and cannot defeat. The future of the drug war may witness a shift as cartels move toward more sophisticated methods, such as using dark web networks or seeking new safe havens in countries with looser laws. However, America's renewed determination combined with advanced technology signals an era where cartel operations will become riskier and more costly than ever before. Thank you for watching Power Insider. If you're still here, click the link on the screen to watch more of our videos. See you there.